Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church. And I'm here today with another thought about this man Abram, who later becomes Abraham from the book of Genesis. Today I'd like to read to you Genesis chapter 12, verses 10 through 13. But before I read that, I want to go back and remind you of what I said yesterday. God had called Abram. He said he was going to make him a great nation. It was going to make him the father of many, many peoples, and he was going to bless the world through him. Abram does that. He accepts it, he moves on, he starts doing what he's supposed to do. And that brings us to verse 10 of chapter 12. Now there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to live there for a while because the famine was severe. As he was about to enter Egypt, he said to his wife Sarai, I know what a beautiful woman you are. When the Egyptians see you, they will say, this is his wife, and then they will kill me, but they'll let you live. So instead say you are my sister, so that I will be treated well for your sake, and my life will be spared because of you. Now, I want you to think about this for a minute. In a very, very similar time frame, God has called Abraham, and Abraham has responded, and God has promised many, many blessings, and Abraham believed him. And now there comes a famine. We don't know about famine in our world. The most recent famine we've had in our world was during COVID when toilet paper was hard to find. You remember that? People were running around looking for toilet paper. I mean, good grief. How you look back at it, and I know that stuff's important, but the whole thing was kind of silly to orient your life around finding toilet paper. Well, for Abram, he's got to find food. And it says that the famine was severe, so he goes down to Egypt looking for it. Now, you would think after this experience with God, Abram would know that God's going to watch out for him. You would think that. You would think Abram wouldn't have any questions about that. You would think Abram would be this giant of the faith that says God can take care of anything. But if you thought that, you would be wrong. Dead wrong. So what happens? Well, no tragedy occurs. Abram just thinks it might occur. Now, let me stop here and say, most of the problems that we fear are not the problems we have, but the problems we think we might have. And you know what? Most of those problems never come. But we spend a lot of time being concerned about these things that might happen that never do. Now, if I'm talking about you, well, you're in good company because Abram does the exact same thing. He says to his wife, oh, gee, we're going down to Egypt, and you're a beautiful woman. And if they find out you're my wife, they'll kill me in order to take you. So I tell you what, just tell them you're my sister. And then they'll treat me well because of you. Now, notice this. Abram isn't thinking about his wife. He's thinking about himself. He's being selfish as all get out here. All he thinks about is his own hide and what might happen to him. So he comes up with this incredible lie. and gets his wife to go along with it. Well, how could a guy go so fast, so far away from God as Abram has done? Well, I don't have the exact answer to that one, but I do have this thought. When we don't have God at the forefront of our thinking, especially when problems arise, then it becomes very easy to put God in the back of our thinking. Did you get that? Before problems arise, we have to know that God is there and in charge. Because when that problem comes, if that isn't what we know, then God is going to be the last thing in our thinking. If that has happened to you or is happening to you, okay, that's not something you should be condemned for. It simply says that you're human. It's hard to keep God first in our thoughts. And that's why by doing it regularly, we constantly get more and more examples of how God's working and where He is, so that when the time comes, when we're struggling, we don't have to worry about that. So this coming year, I invite you to think about this guy, Abram, and the mistake he makes so that you don't do the same thing. When you think about that, I'll be back tomorrow with another passage from this guy. And I wish you the very best. Hope you have a really great day. If you have a need or a concern, let us know. We'll do whatever we can as fast as we can to help make your situation better. God bless you. I'll talk to you again.